From our last assignment, you should already be somewhat familiar with navigating Premiere and its basic functions. The tutorials, however, don't discuss editing techniques or the steps, which is what we'll be discussing from here forward. Today, though, we'll be starting with how to start your project and how to import footage. As usual, to get started, we can pull up Premiere Pro pretty simply by simply hitting Command Spacebar or the Windows key on a PC and then typing in the program we're looking for. So I'm going to type Premiere and then I can either click on it or hit Enter. At that point, it'll bring up Premiere, which starts us off with a home screen. You can see your recent projects, some tutorials, and most importantly, the new project button over in the top left corner. Now we're going to click on this, and this will bring us to the new project screen, which gives us a few options we want to work with. The project name, project location, and then some import settings and footage. We'll go through each of those. Starting with the project name, it's really important that you name your project each time, simply because if you don't, you're actually going to be deleting every one of your files over and over. So for example, when I started this was called Untitled. And if you have an untitled project and you hit 8, which starts the project, you're going to replace the previous one that was called Untitled. And this is a really big problem because I've had students in the past who never set the project name. They would overwrite their project every single time, and when in the future, when they wanted to go back and edit something and make their project better, they no longer had the video that they were working on because they deleted it every single time that they hit Untitled as the new project name. So we're not going to do that. We're going to name this and really just name it whatever is going to be helpful for you to remember what you're working on. So I'll say compositional video. You could also say something like Unit 1 project. It really doesn't matter. So next we're going to hit project location, and this is going to be where we save each of our files. So I'm going to hit my movies, and I've gone through and I've created a Unit 1 project folder that we created last time, but I'm not going to use it. Instead, I have a different project folder that I've created called Premiere Project Files. I'm going to select on this one and choose it. Now, the reason I want to do this is because it would be kind of painful for me to change this every single time I start a new project. So if I had selected my Unit 1 project folder, that means that every time I make a new video, I'd have to create a new folder and save it somewhere else. But that's kind of a hassle, and let's say you forgot one time to change this, it'd be really hard to find which folder you'd saved all your projects into. So instead, I have this one, Premiere Project Files, and I have all my sample projects inside of it. And this makes it easy to find my projects for whenever I need in the future. I would recommend that you do the same thing. So honestly, you should come to your tab where you're putting all the videos, right click, say new folder, and then just title it like Premiere Project Files. So now that we've set the project location and we have a title, we're going to select the footage we want to bring into Premiere. And there's actually two ways that you can go about this. I'll show you way one. The first way is to obviously select the footage right here and now. I am not a fan of this option, but I'll continue teaching it to you anyway so you can see what it's like. So over here on the left side, we have Finder folder system, just like you would have in the Finder. So if I went to movies, you can see I have all the folders here, just like the Finder. Unit 1 project, footage, and it brings me to all the footage that I want to bring into my project for the compositional video. So I could select them, and that would be one way of going about it. But I personally prefer to have nothing selected, and then I turn off all of these, and I hit create without any footage selected right off the bat. Now let me show you why. Because if I had imported some of this footage, it brings it right into Premiere Pro, which is not a bad thing. But instead of doing that, whenever I want to add stuff, I simply open the Finder, I go to my project folder, and I can drag and drop either individual files, like we just did a moment ago. So I could bring my audio as well. I could select multiple of them at the same time and start with just those. Or, and this is really the big game changer, if I select folders, I can drag and drop the whole folder system. So you can actually see that all of my footage is inside the folder that I had it organized into. And this is really helpful because if you took the time to organize all of your scenes and all of your footage, all of your different files, drag and dropping this in means that you don't have to reorganize this. Because otherwise, I would have to make a bunch of folders, name them, and organize it now. So instead, we just skip all that. And the other reason why I'd like to do that is because often during editing, you have a lot of things you want to add. So let's say I want to add this extra song, which is actually the same as what I have there. Let's say I want to add that. I can simply drag and drop it anytime. Let's say I want to download a picture, and I could drag and drop it halfway through my project if I wanted to. It's just simpler to me. However, if you do want to add stuff in the future, you can go back, find it in here, select it the same way we just did, and then just say import, and it'll bring it in just like the drag and drop. You just want to make sure that all of these are off, otherwise it might create some issues. We can show you more about this in the future, and in fact we will, especially the create new sequence option. But right now, you just want to make sure that they're off. Otherwise, they'll create some issues for you down the line. So, now that we're inside of Premiere, and we have some of our files brought into it, I want to show you just a little bit about the project panel, and then that'll be the end of the video. So first thing is that in the project panel, we have two different views. I'm in list view right now, which is toggled by this button here, or I can go to icon view, which is what some of you might automatically be in, by this button. Inside of icon view, I can see all of the different videos and everything that I've done. And it's really nice because you can scrub through and you get a sense of which video this is without having to read the names. That's super nice, especially when you're working with only a few files at a time. However, the one thing about that is that to open up a folder by double clicking, it makes a whole new tab. So I have to go from tab to tab in order to work with that. If you get to the point of what I'm doing, which is where I work with hundreds of files at any one given time, the list view is really nice because I can go through, I can just open and close whatever folders you want. In fact, let me show you an example here of my own personal project that I've been using to make these videos. And as you can see, I have 1,000,001 different files. And if I was using the icon view, I would have so many tabs, I wouldn't know what to do with it all. So I personally don't like that view. You can use it if you like. You can go back and forth between both of them. It doesn't matter much to me. One thing you do need to know though, is that inside of the icon view, you can actually tell what kind of file each one is, just simply by looking at the icon. So for example, here, you can see that this is an audio file because it has this little wave, audio wave there. All the videos look like this. They have a little film strip. And then other things such as pictures and such as sequences, which we'll talk about next time, they have their own little icon as well. And you can see that here, this is the sequence icon. So that is going to be important to know because in the icon view, if I went into my footage, you can actually see that I have all of these visuals. But once I start bringing in some videos into the timeline, now my sequence, which was this one, is going to look just like this video. Now, why is that? Well, it's because we're viewing what the sequence looks like, just like as if it were a video, which means that because this starts with this clip, I am seeing both of these in preview. But if I were to bring more in, I could actually scrub through and I could see the whole sequence preview right away, which is definitely different from this one. So you want to know what these icons look like because I'll have some students who want to drag and drop a video clip into their timeline and they're like, why can't I bring it in? And they don't realize that it's because this is literally the project. This is the timeline, this is the sequence, so you can't put it inside of itself. That just doesn't make any sense. So that's important to know that this is what a video icon looks like, and that's what a sequence icon looks like. Like I said, we'll talk more about sequences next time. The last two things that I really want to show you is one, you can actually make folders if you need to. So if I click this little icon, new bin, I create a whole folder, I can title it. So let's say I wanted to make a background audio tab. I can do that. And then I can easily drag and drop little videos or audio or whatever I want to put into it. And that makes it easier because I can clean it up. I can, open and close it. Last one is here I have new item. And this allows me to make a bunch of general items. We'll talk more about this next time because of sequence, but that is something to be aware of being down here. If you can't see these, it's because you need to drag this over enough so that you can see it. These are all movable panels And so if you go into line in between them, you can grow them, shrink them, or whatever you need to do. So that's everything with creating a project and importing your footage. This is kind of like the pre-step. Next time we're going to be doing preview and rough cut for your video. So we'll actually go into the editing next time. We've just kind of gotten the wheels going. So thank you for coming, and I'll see you in the next video.